You just opened podcast number 126. Are you clean and organized? If not, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome, everyone. I really hope you're doing well. Just a quick thought for today. I know I've talked about this before, but consider your affiliation with your religious institution. Do you pray? Are you supposed to be reading scriptures according to your religious faith? Do you need to be going somewhere on Sunday? Do you pay tithing? Are you supposed to be doing meditation? Should you be praying 5 times a day, praying throughout the week, going to a mosque? Whatever it is you believe, are you doing that right now? Because the reason I ask is because that's the single most important thing that you could do to be effective at work, is to stay loyal to your spiritual and to your religious affiliation. Whatever you believe in, whatever institution you believe in, whatever you adhere to, make sure you're doing what you committed to do per your own personal integrity. In fact, I remember somebody, and he worked for, the guy that I'm talking about worked for Coca-Cola, and was a Coca-Cola salesman. He actually did not go to school for construction management, but he asked me one time, he said, Jason, what can I do to really learn this? What can I do to really get up to speed, and do a good job? And I said, okay, well, what's your personal belief system? He said, I'm a Baptist, I'm a Christian, I do this. I go to church, I serve, I read my scriptures. And I was like, well, that's your answer then, right there. If you read your scriptures every morning, on your way to work, you will be sharp enough to do everything else that you're supposed to be doing, because your mind is a product of the words you say, the morality that you adhere to, your ethics, and the studying that you do to keep your mind sharp, right? So it's your mind, it's your words, it's your focus. And if you're focused on good things, then your mind will be sharp and able to absorb things at work. Now, some people, you might be thinking, Jason's just on a soapbox right now. Hey, it's your decision. I've seen this time and time again. And I'm not bragging when I say I've trained hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of people, and the same pattern follows over and over and over. Those people that are constantly sharpening the axe, sharpening the saw, are meaning always learning, focused on good things, focused on positive words, focused on spiritual or religious words, taking care of their bodies, and reading those good texts and being loyal to their own integrity. They are always sharp. They are always ethical. They are always honest. They are always moral. Even if they make mistakes, they're always on top of it. And if people head away from those things, then they also head away or stop being disciplined with those things, which will make for success. That same discipline that will keep us out of trouble, keep us doing those things that we're supposed to be doing, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. If we are abandoning the things that we were taught in youth or in our life, or that we've decided on as a family, we're also abandoning disciplines at work that will really hurt us in everything that we do. So if you are religious, if you're spiritual, if you meditate, if you're in tune with nature and you need to take walks and head up and climb the mountain every week, please stay connected with those things, because it will be an anchor in your life and it will keep your mind sharp. So, are you happy with your level of involvement? What could you do tomorrow to be more in tune with your source of inspiration? And when I say inspiration, like, how do you get clarity? How do you get intuition? How do you get revelation from God? How do you get connected with the things that you've learned in the past? How do you, intuit things? How do you stay close to inspiration? Because I have used inspiration throughout my entire life to guide everything, where we move, what we do, what jobs to take, how to deal with a certain situation. I use revelation every single day to guide me at work, at business, at home, at church, everywhere. And it's absolutely fantastic. So please, my advice, my plea for you is, please stay connected to your connection to your maker, and stay connected to that information, to that revelation. So before we begin, let me tell you some things that I'm excited about. I'm excited about the British Baking Show. Now, that might seem a little bit silly, But Katie and I started a tradition of watching the British baking show in the holidays. It gets a little bit darker. The days aren't as long. The kids go to bed 6:30, 7 o'clock, so-called. They're sent to bed. They might fall asleep by 9 o'clock, but, everybody's doing their thing, reading, falling asleep. And Katie and I will sit down and watch episodes of the British baking show. And that keeps us warm and cozy and snuggly. And it's just something to look forward to. And I love things to look forward to. And it always gets me through the winter months. So I wanted to talk to you about a neat little concept that they have in both Danish and Norwegian culture. And I'm not going to say the word right, but it's called Hygge. And it refers to a form of everyday togetherness, a pleasant and highly valued everyday experience of safety, equality, personal wholeness, and a spontaneous social flow. And so the noun, the word, I'm not going to say it again, but it means something nice, cozy, safe, and known, referring to a psychological state. So, there's one more little thing. The Happiness Research Institute in Copenhagen has studied the positive effect of this in Danish society, and it is over the top good for people to have a healthy mental state. So how can we do that in the United States in winter, in our own families? And we do that by things like, hot chocolate, warm meals, nice atmospheres, good lighting, making sure that the heater's on nice, that we have pillows and blankets, that we have just nice, wonderful and fun environments, clean environments, and environments that will just keep us mentally happy. Do we have holiday lights? Do we have a little Christmas tree yet? Do we have candles maybe? Do we have Alexa playing, low music, maybe some classical piano or something like that? Do we have, wall plugins with maybe some pumpkin spice or something? I don't know, just fun stuff. How can you get an atmosphere in your home of niceness, coziness, safeness, something that's known that improves your psychological state? That would be super fun. So my challenge on this podcast is make your home and your holidays kind of fun and happy and cozy. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm always teasing people about getting Christmas decorations or Thanksgiving decoration, if that is even is such a thing. But it really is because I want people to have a good time. When we're in our construction trailers, there's no reason not to have pictures of family up on the wall, maybe some scented wall plugins, some lights, a Christmas tree, hot chocolate in the kitchen area, just fun environments. Try this. Getting in Thanksgiving some not yellow, orange Christmas lights. They're not Christmas, they're for fall and Thanksgiving, but some orange lights up around the top of your room. And then in Christmas, switch them to the colored lights and just see what it does to the atmosphere. It just brings a little bit of happiness because we want warm and cozy environments everywhere we go. So the next part of what I want to talk about as a part of the introduction is the feedback that we're getting. So one more time, I do want to say that for 2 weeks, we're going to have a ratings party. If you rate or comment on any of your podcast platforms and let me know about it, I'll personally format a player card for you with your Myers-Briggs type indicator and some questions that you answer. And it will be a nice card that will give you insight onto some of your strengths and weaknesses and how you work and how you best fit within a team. And it will be fantastic. You can post that on LinkedIn, give it to your family, do a number of things. So that will be happening for another 2 weeks, and I'll do it myself. So please just show me that you've rated or commented on any of these podcast platforms, and we'll get it done for you. So the feedback that I got, and I got this by email. No, this was on LinkedIn. It said, "Your podcast is energizing. I've listened to a few episodes and I'm amazed by your energy. It's contagious." And I thought that was really nice. So I want to say thank you to the person that sent me that. They have a podcast as well, doing absolutely fantastic things. So let's start out with a little bit of conflict here. You're not clean in mind, body, and spirit like you should be. There's room to grow. And if you do so, you will live a more remarkable life. So let me tell you, when I was younger, I was messy. My truck was messy. I didn't, take care of things. I was just kind of like an unorganized, messy little boy. And then I went into a phase in life where I was like overly compulsive, like obsessive compulsive. I would pin the sheets on my bed. I'd make my bed. And I'm telling you this because this has kind of been my cleanliness journey. I was super, super messy. And then one day something snapped. I got so frustrated with my environment. My mom used to have to help me this is when I was young, not when I was like 18, but when I was like young, 12, 13, she'd have to help me clean out my closets. And I stored things everywhere, and I was just a messy kid. Anyway, then something snapped. I was so tired of it. I was so tired of just living that way that I went like opposite, just way in the other direction. I would pin my bed sheets together, on the corners where they like fold out. I wanted those to look perfectly, so I used pins to pin those together. I was so compulsive. I wanted all the wrinkles out. And then I would vacuum my floor, and I would vacuum it all in the same direction so it looked all the same direction. Everything was scented, beautiful, and I was just over the top compulsive. And it became a situation where I went to see a psychologist. My mom took me to see a psychologist. Anyway, so those are two extremes. We don't want to go in those extremes. And then I learned a balance, and it's something of a habit now where I'm not overly obsessive. It doesn't bother me, but it is something that I focus on, and I feel like in a proper balance, it can change everything in life. And so why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because you can kind of see my journey with it, my unhealthiness with both ends of the spectrum. And in fact, let me just say one more thing. In marriage, the first 12 years of my marriage with Katie was an absolute nightmare. I would, because of me, not because of her, I would get after her. I would criticize her for not having the house clean enough. We had a bunch of kids. You guys know I have 11 kids. Our house was trashed, like just absolutely trashed all the time. But Katie was doing the brunt of the work and doing everything that she could. And I was just this unkind, horrible human being husband as we were growing up. And then something, I'll just tell you and be vulnerable about my personal story. But one time I was so frustrated, and Katie was like, if you want me to keep the house clean, you go pray about it. If God tells you that you need me to be doing better and cancel these other things to like make it perfect, then you have him tell me. And so I went and prayed about it. And the answer I got immediately was, Jason, you will never have a clean house. Let it go. And I was like, that wasn't exactly the answer I was hoping for. I was hoping for some compulsion here and making everybody like toe the line. But as soon as I realized that, as soon as I got that information, I literally just let go, stop hounding people, stop criticizing my wife, stop being this dirtbag husband. And then guess what? They all figured it out without me. They didn't need me harping on them. They didn't need the negativity. They didn't need the depression that came from that. And we live in a pretty nicely organized house because everybody's using the buddy system now. We've got systems now. And really the problem was me, right? The problem was me because when you can get total participation that's born out of love and common goals, that's a whole lot different than being in a dictatorial relationship, right? So here's a little bit of advice for any of you who might be newly married, especially if you're the guy. Typically, you're going to want physical intimacy. You're going to want responsible finances and a clean home. I get it, but you can't be a jerk. You have to calm down, help out, do your part, and just let it go. And I promise you that things will work out. In 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, when Katie and I have this, really nice house and decent cars and this wonderful, thriving business, and people are like, oh, you guys are perfect and you've always been perfect. What I'm going to tell them is, look, my house, Jason Schroeder, I used to look like I was on an episode of Hoarders. We went to, thrift stores to get our clothing. We drove old cars. We had a yard without grass in the front. We were not always like this. And my message of hope for anybody who might be new is don't worry about keeping up with the Joneses. Have your own journey and realize that wherever you are, you're going to get wherever you want to be as long as you keep going. But don't beat yourself up. And for the love of God, don't ruin your family relationships because of things like this. It's just too trivial. Life is too short and things will always work themselves out. So that's kind of my journey with cleanliness, is getting back to a responsible balance of me always wanting to keep my car nice, my desk nice, my office nice, my work nice, the work environment nice, and doing it because I have an orderly mind and heart and and just a sense of being instead of just being a dictator and expecting it from my personal comforts. So that's my story. I'm asking myself right now how that applies. I think that was probably more personal advice, but the bottom line is, no, this is the reason I told you the story. Anybody can change. Whether you're too far in one direction or the other direction, you can change your mental set point. And so my plea is to change your mental set point for cleanliness to be high on the list, but also temper it with common sense and make sure that you're being kind and leading by influence. Oh, there you go. I tied my story in perfectly. This whole podcast isn't wasted. So there you go. So why am I saying this on a field engineer podcast topic? Why am I saying that? Because now is the time for you to get this through your mind. Now is the time to set this as a habit. If you become a superintendent that is not clean, you will suffer. You will not run jobs like you need to, and it will be a problem for you because cleanliness is a differentiator and an indicator of how you think, act, and feel and who you are. And so the things that we have to do constantly is to run a clean project site. We have to have clean crews, clean offices, clean everything, clean reports, clean emails, clean desktops, clean minds, clean hearts, clean everything. And here's why it matters. If I told you to go out and do a port check, you could do it. If I said do a lift drawing, you could do it. If I said, go lay out these footings, you could do it. If I said write this RFI, you could do it. But if I said get a whole project site to clean and all of the workers and foremen to maintain a clean job site, you and most other people would be like, you talk about impossible. That's impossible. And if you can do it, and it is possible actually, but if you can do it, then you can do anything. If a superintendent can run a clean job, if a field engineer can run a clean area, if an area superintendent or assistant superintendent can run a clean area, they can do anything because that's the hardest thing to do. They can do anything. They can run safety. They can run quality. They can run a good job. They can do integrated project delivery. They can do lean. They can do anything. Okay, because it's the hardest thing to do. And if someone can do that, they can do anything. And this is a habit that will help you throughout your life because gods organize and clean things, but regular mortals live in filth, right? And if you want to be a god with a lowercase g, if you want to organize the universe, if you want to bless mankind, if you want to help others on their way, then you will be clean because cleanliness is next to godliness. It is a habit that will help you. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you're unclean, then you might have bad handwriting. You have bad organization. You have bad finances. You might have a messy truck, messy bathroom, messy habits, messy eating, messy relationships, messy communication, messy dress, messy mind, messy career, messy money, messy, everything. And we can't do that. We have to get into a clean state of mind, clean heart, clean environment, outer order, inner peace. And it will organize everything, put it into a system, and allow you to manage your life and everything else. And how I changed from being a messy kid into, a clean person was first I started and organized my office. And then I organized my desk. And then I found ways to keep my vehicle clean. And then I figured out how to manage layers in AutoCAD. I mean, literally everything that you do is based on cleanliness. Think about it. If you've ever used Revit or AutoCAD or any other application and you've really been frustrated at the wasted time because you're not doing it properly and you've had the inkling to switch or you have switched or you have been more organized, those are habits that are crucial. Those little micro actions are going to head you in a good direction. And right now, if you have, this is a test, and I love this test. This works almost universally. If you have a bunch of files and things on your desktop that are not organized, then you have a problem. And I'm saying that because I love you. I'm not trying to judge you. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not judging you. I'm telling you, if you don't keep things organized, then that is the state of mind. It's not just happenstance. So you should expect that your vehicle's organized, your desk is organized, your trailer's organized, your job site's organized, your mind is organized, your AutoCAD layers are organized, your Revit files and your work breakdown structure is organized. Your files on your desktop are off of your C drive and onto file organization. Everything in your life is beautiful and organized. Even when I was a field engineer, when I decided to stop hauling things in the back of my Kawasaki Mule and build a plywood box to organize and separate my total station from my auto level, from my level rod, from my legs and everything like that. Those little habits start to program you and create mental neural pathways towards a life of more organization and cleanliness, which will bless everything in your life, especially your home. Because without cleanliness, there is no order. And order brings improvement, and improvement brings success. And again, God's, with a lowercase g, God's organized, and men leave messes. And our current condition is people do not learn these few lessons, and it hurts them. People don't learn as a field engineer how to keep a to-do list. They don't learn personal organization. They don't learn this lesson of cleanliness. They don't learn how to over-communicate and get outside of their minds. And if those things aren't learned, they will fail throughout the rest of their career. So take this as a warning, a loving, helpful warning, because somebody taught me this and I want to share this with you. So here's the challenge. There's always a correlation between someone's dedication to being clean and their success. So clean your desk, clean your files, clean your computer, clean your mind, clean your job site, keep everything clean for 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 or 4, and tell me that you're not headed in a better direction. Please accept that challenge. And then one last thing. I can tell within seconds if your job is going well, because if it's dirty, I know it's automatically in trouble. You're not going to finish on time. You're going to lose money. You're going to have trouble. If it's clean, I can at least go analyze the data. But if it's dirty, I already know the job's in trouble. And if somebody's not clean themselves, I know they're going to have trouble. I'm not going to bring the trouble. They're going to have their own trouble. And I feel bad for people when they have to go through that. So don't do it. Let's make sure that we live cleanliness as a lifestyle and bless everyone around us, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. And this will change your entire life. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.